Hello, everybody. Welcome back to episode 11 of the Lilywhite Lounge. Today, I'm joined by two very special guests, two people I've known for pretty much my whole life, I would say. It's Gilly Miller and Will Miller, who are brothers, formerly of the Spurs Academy. How you guys doing, Gil, Will?
Yeah, doing great, man.
Fantastic. It's lovely to see Gil because Gil's in New York, so I ain't seen him for ages. So.
Yeah, man.
They're looking more
Don't
alike.
blonde anymore. Did you
What
wash it
did
out?
what, the blonde?
Yeah, the blonde's gone.
Oh, you're talking about
Oh,
Kish? Yeah,
me or Will?
Both of you got blonde, innit? But Kish, your blonde's gone.
Yeah, mine's
Kish's
growing out.
glasses. Kish, the glasses are crazy nice.
Yeah, they're decent, innit? Got them
Yeah, they look
last
good,
year. Yeah, I've known these guys, for pretty much my whole life. We lived on the same road, we went to the same schools. So it's a very nice conversation to have with them on here because it's the first time I've had someone like that I know very personally well. So yeah, I'm gonna start with Gil's obviously in New York right now, but he grew up
Yeah.
in Hackney like me, and joined Spurs Academy very young, I think. He was there.
Very
You were
young,
there
yeah.
before Will, weren't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, if you just talk through a bit how you joined Spurs, what age, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was at the Spurs development like before the academy starts, and then I had this tournament, played really well in this tournament, and then from the age of 8 just went straight in, like the first kind of academy team that they start. Yeah, and then was there from like 7, 8 until 14. Yeah, but it was great. I loved that. It was a
And
good experience.
so you were the first. You were the first age group. You were the first year of that age group.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
you pretty much went the whole way through for 6 years, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah. It was me. Ollie Skip was in that age group as well. Um, I remember some pictures of me, Ollie Skip. There was this player, Jamie Reynolds. Trying to think who else was in that team. Namdi Fobo. Do you remember Namdi?
Yeah, yeah.
Tash was in that team as well, Gil, no?
Who?
Tashan.
Tash didn't join. Tash joined like a year later. He was like under nines. What a player though.
So I was going to ask, so that's kind of your whole childhood was pretty much based around playing for Spurs Academy. That's kind
Yeah.
of all you ever knew. How do you kind of see that now as kind of 6 years of your childhood? Was that just felt normal to you? Did you realize that you were kind of doing something very different from everyone else?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it was, as a young person, your brain is like constantly developing, and being at an academy, I think is such an amazing experience because you're presented with a bunch of challenges and you have to overcome those challenges. And being so young and having those challenges put in front of you and having the support system as well to give you the space to it gives you a lot of purpose, I think, as a kid, which is what we all need. We all need someone telling us, you're doing good, like, keep going. I think it does that. So I think it's such a, like, looking back on it, it's like, it built me as a person, you know what I mean? It gave me so much confidence, it gave me so much belief, it gave me so much will to be better. So yeah, I think it was such a good experience.
One thing I also kind of forgot to add is that the intro song, I should have said this at the start, the intro song of this podcast is actually made by Gil himself. So we'll touch on that a bit later about what he's doing now. But Will, over to you. How did you kind of join Spurs Academy and how do you look back on that now?
Do you know what? I actually remember. So obviously Gil joined when he was young, and I was obviously, my family supported Tottenham growing up, and all I wanted to do was play for Tottenham. And so I remember going to Gil's games, and I'll be stood on the sidelines just banging skills, just hoping someone will see me, like, that I'll get scouted. Like, I'll just be banging kick-ups the whole game. I wasn't even watching, like, in the hopes
I
I'll get
slightly
scouted.
remember that,
Yeah, and it worked. It actually worked. There was a scout called Jason, I think, and he saw me doing kick-ups, and he was like, "Oh, you're pretty good." And they invited me to the development squad, and then I grafted in the development squad for like a year,
Yeah,
And then,
Frank.
yeah, which was unreal. Like really good coach in the development squad. And then I finally got a shot, and they gave me like a year's trial when I was 14, and I played a year below because I was quite small. And yeah, that the first half of the year when I played down, it didn't go that well, and then halfway through they put me in my own age group, and then it just suddenly clicked, and the experience was unreal. I think we're very lucky at Tottenham. Like back then, John Mack was the head of academy, and I think he set a challenging tone, but one that was like very much tried to promote like growth, not just as a footballer but as a human as well. So I mean, I look back on it with really fun memories, and also like my age group just had such good people, like hilarious, smart, really really just interesting guys. So like, still very close to all of them now. So I had such a good time.
Was there any kind of difference in having a brother who was already in the academy when you joined, or was that kind of completely separate?
Oh no, not really. Because there was like 3 or 4 years between us, so it's not like we were playing in the same teams.
Yeah.
It just meant that my mum had to do more traveling to get up both the training all the time.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like, and to be honest, like the crossover between me and Gil, it wasn't that long, was it? Like you left not that long after I joined, so
Yeah,
I
for
never
like
really
2
felt
years.
that, to be fair. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Gil, what was your kind of leaving Spurs like? So you were there for 6 years. How did that kind of
Yeah.
come to an end? What were the feelings around that, and what did you do next?
Yeah, that it's interesting because like when you first hear the news that you've been released, it's like devastating. But honestly, like I'd felt such at that point in time, I was so happy and I was so optimistic. I remember coming back with my parents and being like they were probably more upset than me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like my dad was probably like more devastated than I was. I was like, I'm gonna go to like I remember saying like I'm gonna go to QPR and I'm gonna have a new experience. It's gonna be great. Um, so yeah, for me it was just like optimism. I was like, this is. Sorry, I'm getting slacked right now. For me, for me, it was like, um, yeah, it was like a new challenge. Do you know what I mean? I was actually quite optimistic about it. It didn't kill
Did
me as much as I thought it might. You know.
did you have kind of did you expect it first of all, and did you have kind of plans lined up for if it did happen, or did the club help you line things up, or how did that work?
Yeah, I half expected it. I mean, I had a lot of injuries around that time, so I wasn't honestly. I had these like hip problems, so I wasn't playing much, and um, yeah, so I did expect it. I mean, I think a lot of the coaches, like for example, I had Matt Wells at that age. He was my coach, and
He's now a first team coach.
yeah, and he was someone that vouched for me, and I think wanted me there, but there were some other coaches that didn't. So, um, but yeah, and then the transition was pretty easy because there's a lot of crossover between Tottenham and QPR. There's a lot of coaches that kind of have been at Tottenham and now at QPR. And then there's a lot of players that kind of go there after, I don't. There's just a lot of crossover between the clubs, so that transition to QPR was quite straightforward.
And how does that? Because many people won't know. How does that kind of switch work? Do you approach the club? Does the club approach you? How does that
Um,
sort of work?
oh, how was it for me? I think I had a few conversations with Frank. I think Frank helped out. He's a scout and um, he worked with Will a lot. He did like the Tottenham development and kind of works like does a lot of mentorship with players and helps them basically get into academies. So I think I spoke with Frank and then Richard Allen and then I think Chris Ramsey was there at the time as well. So I knew a few of the coaches, and few of the coaches knew who I was and kind of knew my game. So that's kind of how it happened. Yeah, it was more so like, yeah, knowing a few of the coaches, and then they sort of picked me up and was like, "You should come train with us." And
And
then
did you do you have an agent at that point or no?
no, no
No.
agent. Nah.
So you were what, 14, 15?
Yeah, I think I was 15.
Okay.
15, yeah.
And then Will, your obviously time at Tottenham ended in a different way. Obviously, everyone who's been following this channel for a while, I had Will on a few years ago where you kind of go into his full story. But if you talk about quickly how your time at Spurs was rounded off, and why and how that was.
It just kind of ran its course. Like I was in and around the first team, like preseason tours, end of season tours, and like loved it. I obviously went on loan when I was 20 to the championship, played with Burton, and when I came back the next summer, I had a really good preseason. But then when I went to America on the preseason tour, I didn't play, and after that, like during the tour, I was like, okay, yeah, it's time. Like, I need to leave now. I don't, it's not gonna work for me here at this moment. And at that point, you really just want to be playing men's football, And towards the end of the deadline, and another move came in. Burton wanted to take me on a permanent in the championship, and I was kind of like, it's too. It felt at the time it felt like too good an option to leave. Yeah, but I mean, some of the coaches were trying to say to me like maybe wait until January and take a bit more time to find potentially a more fitting move for you. But at that point, I just felt like I really wanted to just go and play football
Yeah.
somewhere else, play the men's
And what
games.
was that? Who was on that preseason tour? That was Pochettino's team. Yeah.
Uh, like pretty much everyone, I think, like Carl Walker, Sonny. Um, I'm pretty sure Dell and Hurricane Ericsson. I feel like that one it was most of them because the year before I did it, we went to Australia, but I think that was when the Euros was on or the World Cup, so a
Yeah.
lot of people were like coming back late. So there was a few more opportunities for younger players, but I think that one in America was everyone, was the full squad.
And for a player who's, not settled in the first team, maybe been around a few training sessions, how was going on tour with like the the stars of the team, and what's that like for someone who's just starting out their career? Is that nerve-wracking? Is that exciting? Like what kind of emotions are there, and was it just confidence or was there a bit of anxiety?
Uh, I mean, well, the tour is kind of the last stage of preseason where it was when I was doing it anyway. So I'd already had like a month of training consistently, and in that month, I played very well and trained very well. So that tour, that second tour in America, I wasn't so nervous. I just wanted to play. But I remember the first time I went on preseason tour, the first team, yeah, I was nervous. Yeah, we played Juve, and they read the team sheet out to start against Juve, and I was starting, and I was like, oh shit! But I was starting left back, and I'm not a left back. And Pochettino just threw me in left back, and I actually loved the game. We had a great game, but no, that one I was pretty nervous. But like being around like the standards that are set at that level are just outrageous. You know what I mean? Like it's incredible. Like how few mistakes are made, how all the basics are just absolutely perfect. Like it's still the same game, but it's kind of a different game, Like it's so impressive. So when you're around that and you're part of that, like it's infectious. I feel like it raises your game.
And for those nerves, were they all just about the football itself, or is there anything around like trying to fit in with the group? Because it's like it's people you don't, and I guess players have this all the time when they move clubs and stuff. But it's going into a new group where you don't necessarily know anyone that well, and it's not the same as having been in the academy where you're with people constantly. I guess going into a new environment like that could be scary as well.
Yeah, that definitely is part because there's such a big thing about team sports. Like there's the chemistry and the relationships, and you really want to make sure you're respectful, but make sure you're heard enough and have a say. But all of the guys that were in that team were lovely. Like to me, it felt like a proper family dynamic, and they were all super welcoming and like really tried to help push and elevate the younger players coming through. It felt like to me, so it wasn't too difficult.
Okay, and then Gil, we'll move on to like so you finished at Spurs, you went to QPR. Kind of just quickly touch on what you did at QPR, how that went, and then what you did after that.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. I think there was a very big difference between the way Spurs Academy was run and the way QPR was run, and I mean, the biggest thing was um, just the leadership and how. I mean, it was quite a shock going to QPR and going to training and just kind of being like, the way it was run was great. Like, there was a coach at the time. It's definitely gotten better, I think, in the last few years, but the standard just wasn't quite there, and the facilities and stuff. Um, so yeah, so it was interesting, that kind of shift. But a part of me enjoyed it because it was like, I can enjoy this a bit more. Do you know what I mean? I can enjoy football again and not be too like, um, uh, not be judged too heavily.
How did that 2 years come to an end? And what did you
Yeah,
decide to do from there?
yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yes, so I did 2 years like under 15, under 16, and then got a scholarship, and then did a 2 year scholarship at QPR, which was so much fun, which I loved playing.
If you just quickly explain what a scholarship is and what you do at that point of football.
Yeah, so it's that kind of in between period. So it's 16 to 18. It's those 2 years. So and you're sort of like, you kind of come on full time. So you're there Monday to Friday, and then game Saturday, and you're paid a little bit. You're paid like 750 a month for some shit like that. Um, yeah, and it's sort of like preparation to become a pro. It's that period, and you're still studying. You're doing like a BTEC or whatever, usually in sports science, and then some people take A levels with it. Some people, um, have like partnerships with schools, and they can do some study in that way as well. Um, but yeah, that was a great period. It was 2 years. It was so much fun. You're sort of living in digs as well. If you don't live close to the training ground, you kind of move out of home. So at 16, you move out and you go live with a host family, and you sort of commute that way. So you're a bit closer to the ground.
Yeah, and then obviously I know you went out to America after that. So how was that kind of
Yeah.
transition?
So
And is that a common route for English academy players who drop out the game? Do they often end up going to America?
yeah, it's a very common route for players who don't get a pro after being a scholar. Um, and for me, it was sort of a no-brainer to do that, because I have this like a strong passion in music, so I wanted to pursue that. And being good at football kind of allowed me to like find the college I want and just go and play for their college, get a scholarship, get my college paid for, study music, have a new experience. Um, yeah, so for me, it was kind of a no-brainer, and it was like sort of
Sorry, quickly, how many players did get a pro at QPR?
it wasn't many, it
Yeah.
wasn't many. I think it I think it was about five
Out
out of
of
like probably like 17, 18.
Okay. Yeah.
And and some of them might have even got like a scholarship extension, which is like, we're going to give you a year extended, but we're not giving you a pro contract. Or they were like 1 years, or maybe there was 1 2 year. Um, but yeah, so that was kind of crazy.
Um, yeah, and then you went to college.
Yeah,
We'll come back to that actually before we end. But I want to go on to. I kind of want to ask you both, like in terms of the academy system. There's a lot there that you've spoke about positively. Starting with you, Will, is there anything you look back on negatively, or is there anything you think kind of negatively of around being a part of an academy as a child or a young adult?
That's a difficult question. There's a little part of me. I don't know if this is directly answering your question, but recently, like at Tottenham, I felt like in the academy, it was a little bit militant in terms of like the professionalism, and I think that I adhered to it and I followed it quite strictly. And there's a part of me that felt like I actually would have benefited as a player and as a person if I was slightly more rebellious in a really strange way, but slightly more sometimes just listen to what I needed for my own body or my own state of mind.
Yeah. So, Gil, what players did you? There's a few people that were asking, were there any players that you played against or played with that didn't make it and you thought, or didn't make it to the levels that you kind of thought when you played with them or against them? Or are there
Mm.
players that are doing really, really well now that you kind of didn't see them getting to this point now? Played with or against?
Um, that's a tough one. There was a player, Tashan Oakley Booth. He was unbelievable, and I think he had a few injuries when maybe he was like in like under 18 or he should have gone to the very top. Like he was so good. Like
Yeah,
from the start, like from 9 years old, he was like just like bossed every single game. Like you couldn't get the ball off him. Like he was just too strong. His feet were too quick. Um, yeah, he was unbelievable.
Is
And
it
then
is it
another,
known like within the academy who the kind of
yeah,
best players are from both the
yeah,
coaching side and the player side?
yeah. It's interesting because you see it because they get a special treatment. Like, and if you know it, if you know you're good enough, then there's like you have this kind of power, and there's kind of like a power shift where it's usually the coaches are like telling you what to do, but then when you're that good, it's like suddenly the coaches are really nice to you and like they don't want to upset you and stuff.
Yeah.
That's always very interesting to see.
And I assume they invest more time into those players because they feel like it's gonna pay off with them.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure.
And then any players you played against who were incredible or who
Yeah.
have made it really, really high now.
I mean, I have to mention Eze because I played with him at QPR. He was a couple years above me, so he was in 23 as well, while I was in the 18s, and he was just like the just unbelievable. Like everyone at QPR, anyone that saw him play or played with him was just like this guy is just like on a different level to anyone. And when he was at in the 23s, he kind of was playing, and every single game you'd watch him play, and he would just like it was just way too easy for him. Training, he could literally just like pick up the ball and just walk past like five players. It was just too easy for him, and everyone at QPR was just kind of like, how is this guy not in the first team? And it was kind of disheartening because you'd see him not get into the first team and be playing and be like, well, if he's not getting in the first,
Yeah,
if Eze's not getting in the first team right now, how is anyone going to get in the
yeah,
first
yeah,
team?
yeah,
He was just that good.
yeah, 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 for sure. And Will, best players you've played with against?
I mean, like Dembele, Harry Kane, um, Ericsson, all of those guys were pretty incredible. That whole Tottenham team was just a joke at that time. Like Danny Rose, Walker, Tonga, and Alderweireld, like all of them were just so good. Sonny was incredible. Um, so yeah, I'm trying to think. I obviously played against. I remember man marking De Bruyne in a Carabao Cup game, which was an experience. He was very good. And I remember an interesting one when we were in the youth team. One of the players that was outrageous was Patrick Roberts. He was a winger for Fulham.
Yeah,
He
I
was
remember him being really hyped.
back then. Yeah.
Right, well, this one's for you. When an academy player gets introduced to the first team, training wise, and then come back down to the academy, what's that like? Is there kind of a difference in them? Are they treated differently? Do other players look at them differently? How does that kind of dynamic work?
I so it's kind of different at different stages. Like when we were like first year scholars, like 16, 15, like my first training session when I first got called up, I was like just turned 16. I think at that point everyone looks at you like, whoa, like you went to the promised land, like what's it like up there? And then as you get to like 17, 18, 19, it becomes a bit more regular that you're called up to go and train with them. Sometimes there's a little bit of envy because you're the one that is normally getting called up to go and train, and you've got the opportunity to impress and like prove yourself. But yeah, I don't know. I guess the from a personal one as well, when you go up there and train at that level and you come back down to the youth team, like the level in speed and intensity and professionalism and communication in every aspect is so drastic. Yeah, it's a big shift.
And Gil, did you have any experience of that while you were at QPR or Spurs, where players would go up, maybe not even to the first team, but just go up age groups, and how would that dynamic work when they came back down?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was pretty normal. Like if someone's playing really well and they, play with the 23s or they play with the first team, it was like, yeah, you know what I mean, you probably deserve that. And I think in a lot of ways it's a good thing. If you're seeing like your friend or, another player doing that, then it's like there's promise. Do you know what I mean? So it's like you see them doing it, it's like, okay, I can, there's a way, you can get there. If it's not
Yeah,
happening, then that's when there's a sort of like shut off, and that's probably more
the
of a problem,
disconnect.
I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Gil, what were you surprised to see Oliver Skip in the Championship at the age of 25? Obviously, he played for England youth teams. Did you kind of see his progression as something that you predicted, and was this the kind of level you expected, or did you kind of expect him to be higher?
Um, yeah, I think I didn't expect him to. Yeah, I expected him to make it. I think everyone did. He was just like Mr. Consistent, just like physically, very good, technically sound, and just like very consistent. Did everything right. Did what the coaches asked. Um, yeah, and I think physically that's something people may not put that sort of label on him, but physically he's very strong, like very fast, and has always been. And I think even at Spurs, like he was actually in the year below. I think he was quite old for his age, but he was in the year below and just played up his whole
Throughout.
his whole academy, um, which I think is very telling that like Spurs kind of saw that from a young age where he could go and what he could deal with and what he was capable of.
Yeah, 100%. Right, I think we'll move on to kind of what you guys are doing now. There was a question around this where someone said the the players from the academy we see who do not manage to have a professional playing career, where do they usually end up? It seems obviously both of you have ended up in the media industry, but what are some other paths that people take? Will, go on, I'll start with you.
I mean, naturally, like a lot of people go into coaching because, that's what they've experienced their whole lives. Um, it's, it's difficult to pin that question because there's so many players that don't make it. The statistics and the numbers of players that are coming through the system and don't make it pro is so high. But I would say a lot of people go into coaching or into something football related, and then there's loads of others that have really interesting other ventures, real estate, media.
And
There's
what talk about
PC,
your ventures, because you retired at 25, what was it?
23.
23. Okay.
Yeah, young. Yeah, I went into filmmaking quite like naively, just jumped headfirst into filmmaking and started a production company without really understanding what it actually is, how a production company actually works, and kind of just built the plane while flying. But I mean, I wouldn't have left football if I didn't have a passion that I really wanted to pursue, and if I didn't want to slightly change my lifestyle or the rhythm of my life that I had at that moment. And a lot of that was sparked from like a big injury I had, if you remember. So, but yeah, I went into filmmaking, and that's been. It's also like, it may be in some ways equally as competitive an industry as football to try and make it. It's been really challenging, but just a very different way of working. Like, when you're an athlete, you can really. There are so many metrics to gauge. How much you're improving, like how far you ran, or how many assists you got, or how many key passes you made, or you can judge everything, or how heavy you're lifting, or whatever. And in the creative world, it's a lot more, it's subjective. So you're kind of like searching in the dark or through the clouds and the mist of like, am I doing this right? Like, am I actually growing? Am I evolving? So it's a very different way of working. But I think what's been good from football is like, there's a certain level of like self-discipline and perseverance that I think I took from being an athlete and trying to come through that cutthroat industry that into this, has helped a lot.
And what are some of the main kind of, I guess, high profile successes of the production company, just so people can get a sense of like what kind of things you work on?
Well, like naturally, I also founded my company with two other ex-pros. But so naturally, we've done a lot in football because it's quite kind of niche to be ex-players that are making films, But we worked with some amazing people. Worked with, directed David Beckham and Zinedine Zidane, and
What was Zidane like? That's one of my
Zidane,
favorite ever players.
same, bro. Zidane, I was kind of speechless when I met Zidane. He's just the way that he plays football, like. He's like the most graceful player I've ever seen, and the way he plays football is just the way he goes through life. The way he walks, the way he sat down, the way he addressed people is just like pure grace, like just elegance.
Can you? Because I think people often question, like, I don't think many people expect him to be such a successful manager. Often great players don't necessarily make great managers. How do you think? Like, do you think that kind of aura carries to a team as well, like in terms of the way he carries himself?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like, I don't, obviously, I don't know him very well. I spent half a day with him directing him, but like it felt to me like there was a level of respect and self-awareness that he had in the way he carried himself, that with the accolades and the achievements, and the respect that people already have for him, I feel like is the perfect foundation to manage, especially a team like that Madrid team, for example, with players that are on that stature. I feel like Zidane would have had all of their respect.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Gil, you've got similar in some aspects, but also very different to Will's kind of venture. If you talk through kind of what happened since you first went to do a scholarship in college, and how you've now ended up in New York. I went and visited Gil in New York in June. Had the time of my life. It was
What
so
a
good.
bloody weekend that was.
We had a big weekend.
Yeah.
Spent maybe 5 days recovering from it, but it was very
Yeah.
very fun.
That
And
was
Gil's
cool, man.
living an amazing life out there. That might be why you can hear the New York traffic behind him, because
Yeah,
he's
man.
right in the city. So yeah, Gil, talk us through how you got to New York to do music from where you were.
Yeah, I mean, it stems from obviously the scholarship, and then not getting the pro contract. It was scholarship to America. And I already had a massive interest in music, and I was already making music. So that was kind of clear for me that I wanted to pursue that. So yeah, going to America, I went to San Francisco. I did 4 years playing football, studying music, just having a great time in San Francisco. It was pretty cool because our college, so it's an art school, and being in San Francisco, we played some Hawaiian teams. So we'd have like away days in Hawaii, we'd have away days in LA, San Diego. And it's mad, like, because the standard's like obviously nowhere near the standard it is in the UK. But we're getting flown out to Hawaii and staying at a 4-star hotel to play these teams. Like, it was mind-boggling to me.
It's
But
mad because like you've probably played in school teams that could give
Yeah, that could challenge. Yeah,
could
yeah.
give those
No, I mean,
teams a game.
our school team would give us a game. Do you know what I mean? Our school team, unreal.
Um, yeah, our school team, we had Gilly, we had Jaden Anthony, who's now playing for Burnley in the Premier League. We had another good player called Amrit, who was at QPR with Gilly. There was a whole bunch of talent in that team.
Yeah.
But obviously, you drive to the away days on a minibus, like packed in on a minibus, missing
Yeah.
the afternoon of school. It's a whole different.
Getting changed on the minibus, like elbows in everyone's face.
But it's mad because even high school teams in America get like good facilities, like
Yeah.
very very like they get a lot of treatment over there. What's just like settling into? Because I've got a lot of American listeners. So what's like the differences in the culture, I guess, with living in America compared to here, both in the football side, but also just in more general life side.
I mean, in my experience, like meeting Spurs fans out and about and stuff, they're not. I feel like they're not as. It's not as life or death for them. That's kind of my general feeling. So I mean, some of them it is, and it's like they really love the team. And there's a lot of like Spurs pubs. Like I found a Spurs pub in New Orleans. I went to New Orleans recently, and found this little Spurs pub, and there was like 30 like older Spurs fans in there, and they like. I came in and one of them came over and started chatting to me and like found out I was from London and stuff and was just so excited by the fact.
Do you tell them that you used to play for Spurs Academy, or do you keep that inside?
If it comes up in it, I don't come out with that like.
No, but I think they'd be super impressed by that. I think that's like you're probably getting a round of drinks every time you say that.
Yeah. But yeah, and there's a Spurs bar in Brooklyn like a few blocks from where I live. So yeah, no, the support's great, but I mean, there's nothing like going to a Spurs match and really seeing, the passion.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's definitely different, for sure.
Yeah. Cool. So I think we'll end on how we usually end this podcast, which I think if you guys have listened, we normally recommend anything that people should go and check out, whether that's a film, TV series, book, restaurant, song, album. So I haven't thought of mine yet, but if you guys have anything to say, actually, I know I'll go with mine. I've started a series on Now TV called Task, things on Sky. Which I've literally watched one episode of, but it's got very good reviews. It's about a FBI guy trying to look for. There's been a few robberies of like a few trap houses, and the FBI guy is trying to basically work it out. And I think a lot more happens, but it started very well. It's got very good reviews, so that's one you should check out. Gil, you got anything?
I've rewatched a film recently, which is probably at the top of my list, or definitely in my top 5. City of God. It's a film about a young photographer living in the favelas in Rio de Janeiro, and it's very raw and just beautifully made and shot, and it's just a must watch for me.
I've got that that's in my top 5 as well. So there you go.
There we go.
Will, anything?
Yeah, I was watching this series recently. Actually, I made Gil watch it as well when he was back, but it's called The Last One Laughing. And they basically put like, I think it's like 10 comedians.
Yeah, I've seen this.
And they're not allowed to laugh. They're just trying to make each other laugh. And to me, some of the comedians in there they're geniuses. Like a couple.
Who's that? Who's the main? There's one guy who's the funniest in there. Bob Mortimer. Yeah.
So fucking
funny. Like that series to me, I was like, oh right, this is pretty genius. But
yeah,
I was like, yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you everybody for listening. Gil, as well, you're gonna hear Gil's piece on the outro, which he made for us. But he's also gonna have to do some work.
Have you been putting them on the outro? I feel like I only hear it on the intro.
Oh, it might only be on the intro. They're on the outro of our clips that we post on socials.
Okay.
So, Gil's also gonna help us with the sound, I hope. to do after the recording. But yeah, thanks everyone for listening. I'm sure I'll get you guys back on again for sure. Maybe even in person when you're back in London, Gil. That would be a good
man.
one.
That was sick.
But yeah, thanks for listening, guys, and come on, you Spurs.